We're beginning Lent and also a sermon series that begins tonight and continues on the Sundays that lead up to Holy Week. And they really focus on what we're calling the 40 days of inspiration. Now, if somehow you've missed this whole theme of 40 days of inspiration, all you need to do is look at your newsletter, page 5. It has everything you need to know. I think Wendy Current is here. She was out earlier at the table with the Max Lucado books, and you can talk to her, you can talk to me, talk to Pastor April, talk to many people to find out exactly what we're talking about as we begin these 40 days of inspiration. When I think about this, I think about the overall theme of discipleship, because that's what this is about. It's about focusing in and becoming really disciples of Jesus Christ. Pastor Tyler has talked about, what is the definition of discipleship? And he says that discipleship is bringing yourself and others to Jesus Christ. And that's kind of what the focus we're talking about. And really making a difference. And as we begin this evening, that's really the theme of my message, making a difference for Jesus Christ, making a difference with our life. And as I looked at this whole theme, I really saw that we can make a difference by accepting 5 propositions. And the first proposition is that you can make a difference. There was many years ago, it is many years ago, one of the recharges that I went to at Okoboji Lutheran Bible Camp, where we still continue to go there, and every year or every fall or then a spring, there would be a different theme. But the theme for one recharge, and this was a while ago, and I can't believe I still have the t-shirt, but here it is. It's now a work shirt now. There's some holes in it now, so I can't really wear it. But the theme was Big Diff. And the whole thing was, make a big difference in your world. Now, I didn't really like to wear this t-shirt because I thought people would see, just read quickly and see Big Dip. And I really didn't want to really give that particular thing. But it was talking about how we can make a difference in the world. And that indeed, we all can make a difference. There's a story that perhaps you've heard, and it kind of goes like this. It's about starfish, and it goes like this. While wandering on a deserted beach at dawn, I saw a man in the distance bending and throwing as he walked along the endless stretch in front of me. And as I came near, I could see that he was throwing starfish that had been abandoned on the beach by the tide back into the sea. When I was close enough, I asked him why he was working so hard at this really strange task. And he said that the sun would come out soon and dry up the starfish and they would die. I said to him, I thought that he was really foolish. There were thousands of starfish and miles of beach. One man alone could never make a difference. And he smiled at me as he picked up the next starfish, hurling it into the sea. He said, well, it makes a difference to this one. We all can make a difference. Maybe the impact we have is huge, maybe it's small. Yet I've learned one thing: you never can know what your impact can be. Because you can make something of a small impact in someone's life that magnifies as that life goes forward. Never discount what God can do through you. I think of a couple of people that made huge impacts in the world. The first one, Peter, the great disciple. Sometimes, Peter was, impetuous. Sometimes you wondered if he was really going to make it. But Peter was the one that, led the early church along with Jesus' oldest brother James, how they led the church in Jerusalem. And ultimately, Peter died a death, we believe, in Rome on the cross. But he was crucified upside down because he said, I'm not worthy to die in the same way that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ died. Peter made a huge impact in the world as he attempted to spread Christianity. And the second person, of course, was St. Paul, who was another, matter of fact, there's books that tell about people that have made the most influence in the world, most influential people. And many times Paul is listed above Jesus Christ. You say, whoa, how can that even be? But the thought is that, Jesus Christ, Son of God, planted the seed in the disciples and all. But Paul was the one that really spread it throughout the Mediterranean world, how he was so focused. And as a result, not just of these two people, but as the momentum went forward, Christianity has become a real power in the world. In my last confirmation class that I taught, it was on world religions. And I gave a quiz, and it looked like this. And I asked the students, rate these 5 religions according to which has the most followers, the most believers. And Christianity came out on top. You look at this pie chart, the green, 1 in 3 people in the world believe in Jesus Christ because of the difference that people made down through the ages. If you see the map here, everything in the light kind of yellowish color, yellow-greenish, I don't know my colors that well, is predominantly Christian. How the influence of people made a difference in the world, where the predominant religion in our world is Christianity. Well, the second proposition is that God created you to do good. If we look at the passage that Allison read for you, Ephesians chapter 4, for we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. That word workmanship, if you translate it directly from the Greek, the sense is we're God's workmanship. The sense is a work of art. We are a work of art created by God our Father. There's an expression in using the double negatives, God don't make no junk. Well, if we clean it up, God doesn't make any junk. We can't, God has created us in a very special way. And if we look at Psalm 139, taught way back in, David's, 1,000 years before Jesus, King David writing this, for God, you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. We have been created very special, and that we were created in a special way to do good for others. That we should concentrate everything that we have in our lives to do good, to make a difference in our world. I pulled a few quotes out of Max Lucado's book that we'll be using along during the 40 days of inspiration. The first one I pulled out in relation to this, it says, this is called life. And this life is yours. You have one. You didn't request one, but you have one. And here it is. We each have a life. What are we going to do? God challenges us with that proposition that we should do good in our lives. Well, the third proposition is that you can discover your gifts. Now, in the Bible, we talk a lot about gifts, really talking about abilities, talents that we have, and how we can put those gifts into practice. In 1 Corinthians 12, and this is just one place it's talked about our gifts, there are different kinds of gifts, but they come from the same Spirit. To each one person is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. we are given gifts to be used for the common good. And we need to look at ourselves and examine ourselves and see, what gifts do we have? And I think as we examine it, maybe don't so spiritualize it so much in just sticking with the gifts that are listed in the New Testament, but really asking, what am I good at? And also, what do I like? Because I tell you the truth, in school, I was really gooder. I was better at like math and science, concrete types of subjects. Yet I chose to go into something that wasn't so concrete, that really required more like English skills, which I wasn't so good at, reading skills, which I really didn't excel in. Matter of fact, I've been reading books that, I remember I'd see high school students reading a book and I'd say, oh, I was supposed to have read that book when I was in high school, and then I would read it now. You know, I was like, don't do what I did, please. You know, read them now, you know. Read them later too, I guess. But, so what are you good at? But also what do you like? And where is your passion? You know, concentrate on those. And so that you might then discover, you know, those places that you can really come to the surface and serve. Again, a quote I lifted from Max Lucado's book said, "You've been given your life. No one else has this version. You'll never bump into yourself on the sidewalk." That was interesting. As I read that, when I was a pastor in Minnesota, I went to the doctor. I've told this story once, I think. And I signed in, and I noticed that the person before me who was signed in was George Megard, which, I tell you, Megard is a Norwegian name, and George is not. George I got from my mom's dad, and I was totally dumbfounded because there weren't many Megards, period. And then to come face to face with another George Megard, it wasn't like the State Farm insurance commercial where the two kids were separated at birth, but it was a strange to kind of come, you know, face to face with another George Megard. But the fact is, though, there's no one like us. We are all individuals. We are individually made by God, and God has set us forth for a purpose, and that we need to discover those gifts that we have. The fourth proposition is that you can put your gifts to work. There was a song long ago, and it was called, "They'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. They will know we are Christians by our love." And as a matter of fact, when I looked at that, I looked at the fine print, copyright 1966, for crying out loud. That's when I graduated from high school. That is a long time ago. As a matter of fact, we were sitting over here. I was having dinner with some of my pastoral advisees, and just guys, as an icebreaker, I said, what if you were magically back to the 1960s? I don't know where that is. Can't get the word. But you were back in the 1960s. What would you miss the most? And of course, cell phones were there and electronic devices. And then, I'm not going to say her name, she said, I would really miss cars. I said, for crying out loud, we had cars in the 1960s, you know. But anyway, this is an old song, way back when they didn't have cars in 1966. But it was talking about, they'll know us by our acts of love. And it really comes to us from John chapter 13. As we look, Jesus says, I give you a new commandment that you are to love one another. As I have loved you selflessly, you should love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, that you have love for one another. We're talking about putting our gifts at work to show love for those that are around us, to make a difference in our world. As I look at people that have made a difference, and I hate to even, I'm going to mention three from our church, and not, hopefully, no one will be offended that I didn't mention you, because if I mentioned everyone, we'd be here for a long time. But I think of John Gabor from our church, who is a television technician, and because of a lot of his efforts in the country of Haiti, the religion in Haiti is voodoo. Because of him, on a mountaintop near Gonaives, there is a Christian television station that covers practically the whole island country of Haiti, and also a FM station. And he goes down there periodically to upgrade things, to fix things when they don't work. And sometimes things don't work. But through what he has been gifted, he has used it for good works for Jesus Christ. I think of Fred Miller, who just decided, I think I would like to get baby cribs and refurbish them and give them the AAA Crisis Pregnancy Center so that young mothers who, are just starting off and kind of wondering, oh boy, should I have this baby or not, would have some support of, well, here, you can have this crib and there's supplies. Fred continues to work at a children's hospital and in multi ways, including rocking babies there. And then, lastly, I think of Terry Johnson, who has the ability to pick up the phone and talk. Some people, you're on the phone, but you can't make cold calls and talk. And he's used his gift of being able to talk on the phone to get volunteers for Vacation Bible School, to get people to donate things to Vacation Bible School to make it such a success. And again, I would like you to reflect upon yourselves. What gifts, what talents, what abilities has God given you? And how then, after identifying them, can you actually put them to work? Again, this third quote I give you from Max Lucado. He says, "You want to do good. You want your life to matter. You want to live in such a way that the world will be glad that you did live." The fifth and final proposition is, you can outlive your life. Now, Outlive Your Life is the title of this Max Lucado book, and quite frankly, when I first heard it, I was trying to sort out what did this mean, outlive your life. And then as I got into the book, it began to dawn on me a little bit, making an impact even after you're gone. And I know that when I first came here to Lutheran Church of the Master a few years ago, I made a decision that when I die, I would like to still keep giving in a way, and so and you don't all have to do this, I donated my body to the University of Nebraska Medical Center. And so that when I die, I'm going to be used by some students to kind of work on. Some people feel that's a little weird, a little gross, but I think that's one way I can keep on giving even after I'm dead. And of course, I always think about this. I thought the greatest thing would be, I think the first semester your head is wrapped and working, and I just would, that'd be so great at the semester, they'd unwrap it, and one of my kids I had in youth group would say, "George, this is my pastor." I've been, that'd be my ultimate last laugh in this life. I don't know if it'll happen, but you can outlive your life. I'm going to close with really the first section of this book by Max Lucado, and it's called Finding Father Benjamin, a Fable. Here goes. Unfavorable winds blew the ship off course, and when they do, the sailors spot uncharted islands. They see a half dozen mounds rising up out of the blue South Seas waters. The captain orders the men to drop anchor and goes ashore. He is a robust man with a barrel chest, full beard, and a curious soul. On the first island, he sees nothing but sadness. Underfed children, tribes in conflict, no farming or food development, no treatment for the sick, and no schools, just simple, needy people. The second and the following islands reveal more of the same. The captain sighs at what he sees. This is no life for these people, but what can he do? Then he steps onto the last and largest island. The people are healthy and well fed. Irrigation systems nourish their fields, and roads connect the villages. The children have bright eyes and strong bodies. The captain asks the chief for an explanation. How has this island moved so far ahead of the others? The chief, who is smaller than the captain, but every bit as equal in confidence, gives him a quick answer. Father Benjamin. He educated us in everything from agriculture to health. He built schools and clinics and dug wells. The captain asks, can you take me to him? The chief nods and signals for two tribesmen to join him. They guide the captain over a jungle ridge to a simple, expansive medical clinic. It is equipped with clean beds and staffed with trained caretakers. They show the captain the shelves of medicine and introduce him to the staff. The captain, though impressed, sees nothing of Father Benjamin. He repeats his request. I would like to see Father Benjamin. Can you take me to where he lives? The three natives look puzzled. They confer among themselves, and after several minutes, the chief invites, follow us to the other side of the island. And they walk along the shoreline until they reach a series of fish ponds. Canals connect the ponds to the ocean. As the tide rises, fish pass from the ocean into the ponds, and the islanders then lower the canal gates and trap the fish for a harvest. Again, the captain is amazed. He meets fishermen and workers, gatekeepers and net casters, but he sees nothing of Father Benjamin, and he wonders if he is making himself clear. I don't see Father Benjamin. Please take me to where he lives. And the trio talks alone again. After some discussion, the chief offers, well, let's go up to the mountain. And they lead the captain up a steep, narrow path. And after many twists and turns, the path deposits them in front of a grass-roofed chapel. The voice of the chief is soft and earnest. He has taught us about God. He escorts the captain inside and shows him the altar, the large wooden cross, several rows of benches, and a Bible. Is this where Father Benjamin lives? The captain asks. The men nod and smile. Well, may I talk to him? Their faces grow suddenly serious. Oh, that would be impossible. Why? He died many years ago. The bewildered captain stares at the men. I asked to see him, and you showed me a clinic, some fish farms, in this chapel. You said nothing of his death. And they said, you didn't ask about his death. You asked to see where he lives, and we showed you. You can make a difference. Let us pray.